Okay, welcome to Principle 3, backing of self. The first one was to know thyself. The second thing is to know others. The third one is backing self. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, Das, because I think if there's one thing that the sales game facilitates better than any other form of education is to allow people to back themselves. And it seems to be a noticeable transition that they go through, like, let's say, life post-game.
Yeah, it's very post-game.
Versus life
post-game entirely.
Pre-game.
Yeah, totally. So this is fascinating. So the four principles are knowing yourself, knowing others, backing yourself, and we'll get to the fourth one, which is backing others. And it seems like backing self has been the one where people have, number one, had the most challenge with, but then number two, have got the most reward out of once it has kicked in. And it really, what it does, the sales game, for those of you that have played, you'll understand this. What the sales game does is it really causes you to play yourself into, play yourself into a position that becomes difficult. Naturally, at any one stage, the sales game becomes difficult. It becomes a challenge. And that's the whole idea. You didn't come to the room in order to just remain comfortable and easy. You come to the room to be like, okay, I need to push through a boundary. Well, that's going to be uncomfortable. It's tight at the end of the sauce bottle when you're trying to squeeze the last sauce out of it, you know? So backing yourself it comes from a place of challenge. And the whole idea is you can only gain more confidence, ironically enough, by putting yourself in positions where you're uncomfortable, where you're uncertain about yourself. Upon conquering that challenge, this is where the full backing of self really starts to kick in, okay? So people get to the sales game and they're like, oh, I'm not backing myself enough. It's like, yeah, 100%. I could have told you that. Like, no matter what, that is always the truth. Before you face a challenge or a discomfort that you need to overcome. Once you overcome it, that's when you really feel it, which is interesting because in the room, it's something people get a sense of and can start to language for themselves. But it's so funny, Steve. Funny is one word for it. Empowering is another. Amazing is another. Yeah. Where we have received so many text messages, emails, phone calls from clients that we've both had in the room where it's like, oh, Das, you're not going to believe what I'm doing now. You guys won't believe the things I've actually done in my business, the action I've actually taken, the people I've actually hired. That word actual is just extraordinary because they're like, no, it's genuinely changing my life.
Yeah. And it's real. Like it's post again, like it's evidence. Like I've already done this thing rather than this is what I'm going to do.
Yes. I got this great idea. How cool is that? Versus, oh, no. I just signed 50 grand's worth of business in a month's time. It just happened. I've already got the contracts are signed. It's like, it's amazing, man. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on the byline you've got there, which is courage is the appropriate goal here, not confidence.
Yeah. Well, the backstory to this, I suppose, was a complete change in my thinking around what appropriate goals are. I think there is goals and then there's appropriate goals. I think that word appropriate is an interesting one. One that I have not seen the etymology of, by the way, which I should do that after this. But it's a personal experience for me that my youngest daughter, Nora, was having some real problems with social anxiety in her kindy. And the teachers were a little bit worried about her. She would prefer just to play by herself, or she would just sit and watch and observe everyone else play, or, confidence was the problem, essentially what it was. And the word confidence was the word that we just kept hearing over and over and over again. Oh, look, she lacks confidence. She lacks confidence. She needs to be a bit more confident. We want her to be a confident speaker. We want, the word confident kept coming up. And funnily enough, the more you talk about confidence and the lack of it, the more anxious you become and the more anxious she became. Because now you're like, there's something wrong with me now. So not only am I feeling a little bit strange in these situations, the more I focus on how I'm not confident, the more I feel like there's something wrong with me, which it further compounds the anxiety. So it really got me thinking like, okay, well, this isn't working. And I've even thought this to myself, you hear about it all through school and sport, oh, it's been really good for their confidence, you know? And then I'm thinking, well, this isn't working, right? And so the kindy teacher said, there's actually, we suggest you actually take Nora to a child psychologist, like a psychologist who helps with people with their confidence. And she said, oh, we've had great results with this lady. She talks about the brave button, and what she does is she gets the kids to use their nose as a brave button. Now, Nora's a really smart kid, and as you know, she's an observer. And so she heard me and Anna talking about the brave button and the nose. Now, she interpreted it in a different way. The next morning, she came down and she held out her hand, and in her hand was a physical button. Okay?
Off clothing, or
like a shirt or something.
Yeah.
And she says, look, Daddy, this is my brave button. When I hold it, I become brave. It's like a superpower. I was like, that's awesome, Nora. That's amazing. And she's like, when I hold it, I feel brave. And then she went to gymnastics, and she used to always be terrified and cry a lot. And she went to Anna, my wife, and gave her the brave button. She goes, here you go, Mummy, you can have the brave button, because if you've got it, you'll be brave too. And then you can watch me do gymnastics. And we're like, wow, this is amazing. So we went to New Zealand skiing, and she's like terrified of skiing. We put her up in the next age bracket so she could be with our eldest daughter. And she's doing like the full mountain runs on a chairlift, like stuff she would never have done before. And now she's a completely different girl. And the reason I think it started to happen for her is she was simply using that as an initiator. Okay? That's all it was. Grab this thing, have it in my hand. That will initiate me being brave. Even the word brave was more powerful to her than confidence. Because if you think about it, confidence is a bit of a lag measure.
Yes.
You don't really know that you're confident until after the fact. But what is brave?
Yeah.
Brave is courage. Brave is I'm still feeling not secure. I'm still feeling scared. I'm still feeling anxious, but I will act despite of it. And that's when I discovered I almost use confidence as a swear word in our house now. I'm like, no, courage is the appropriate goal, kids. It's when you're scared, but you do it anyway. It's when you don't know the outcome, but you try.
And that's what confidence is, isn't it? Confidence is, I'm confident I can achieve this. I'm confident I can do this. So it doesn't actually presuppose there's a comfort zone, barrier that you're breaking through.
Yeah.
You're not moving into any discomfort. You're confident that you'll be fine.
Totally. It's a strange year. You know the outcome of what's going to happen. But even if you want to get to that place, the only gateway is courage. You don't get confident. You don't back yourself other than taking the initial brave button moment, stepping into a place of courage, not knowing the outcome, being shit scared, to be honest, but then taking action towards it despite. And I think there's something innate within us that is drawn towards people who display courage, not necessarily confidence. Some people that display confidence, we go, that's an arrogant pig. I don't like that person. But when you talk about Anzac stories, and whenever I get around to Anzac Day and I see people marching, I still get tears in my eyes, right? Because it's like, that's the ultimate display of courage. The boys had courage, you know?
Nice.
Running into gunfire is courage. You know, it's not confidence. Like, I can run through anything, man. I can get through any bullet. No, dog. It's like I've got a higher purpose, and I'm terrified, and this could be it, but I'm going to run towards it anyway. Like, that's the game. That's the game. So backing self is that.
And how do you see it? How do you see it playing out in the sales game room specifically?
Rid yourself of perfectionism. It's the number one thing I see that people hold themselves really, truly back from backing themselves is they put themselves into a place of perfectionism. They buy into the lie of it's not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. It's not good enough yet. I'm not good enough yet. The problem with that is as soon as you believe that lie, essentially what you're saying is I need to be perfect. I need to be confident. I need to be strong before I do anything.
Yes.
Guess what? That word yet will continually push the goalposts further and further away, and you'll never arrive. And that's a problem.
Yeah, well said, man.
And so that's what I really think I would love to do. And we see people do this. I think the game facilitates this because they see it as a simulation. It is not real. Once they truly get this, the chips aren't real money, you know? And so they go, I'm going to have a go.
Yes.
and see what happens. And I think it's the gateway of when they go, oh shit, I didn't die. I can do more of this.
I was having a chat with a client yesterday, and we were just talking. In fact, I've had this conversation with a number of clients recently, and we were talking about something they wanted to achieve, and the ducks needed to align. It was really clear that the ducks needed to align for him, and meaning like he had to have everything in place perfect before he could actually move forward. And I said to him, I'll call him Steve. I was like, Steve, you're taking all of this, and he wanted me to give him the strategy to line it all up and all of this. And I said, you're taking all of this pretty seriously, don't you think? And he just started laughing. And cause he knew, once you tap into that and you realize, oh man, you're right. I was trying to get this perfect. I was never going to do this until it was perfect. And I was probably trying to get it all perfect so I didn't have to actually just take the action and do it. I wanted to be confident instead of courageous. And that's amazing. And that story that you've told reflects that perfectly, which is, what if it weren't perfect, but you started taking action towards it anyway?
Yeah.
Because how often have you found, Steve, we're going to be putting these videos, these are in the content hub right now. And I guarantee that in 2 years from now, there's going to be something even about these videos that we're going to want to have gone back and changed, or that we'll want to update. And I'm sure we will. But here's the thing is that, what if we'd have waited 2 years of oh yeah, it's not ready yet, that we're not smart enough yet. We haven't got enough experience yet. We're, not enough sales yet. There's not enough marketing done yet. There, always yet.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. I love it. There's the Reid Hoffman quote from LinkedIn. He says, if you're not embarrassed by your first prototype, you haven't launched early enough.
Nice.
And I think to me, life is humorous. I think so much of life is humorous.
Yes.
Just look at the freaking animals that are out there. Some of the weirdest damn animals. How did an axolotl? Have you seen one of those things?
Yeah, they're useless.
That is just purely humorous.
It's the water version of a guinea pig.
Yeah. Even guinea pigs, man. I just find so much of life is so humorous. But I think humor is a gift, and I think sometimes what happens is we take everything so seriously that we lose sight of humor. We lose sight of the humors, and that's even another word to check out. What does humor mean?
Yeah.
But I love moving towards something, looking back on it in 3 years' time, and then just laughing at it. Oh, what was I wearing? What was my haircut?
Yes.
But you just keep moving forward anyway, and then just treat it as fun.
Perhaps that's a great metaphor for this is, do enough things in business that you look back on in the same way that you look back on your photos when you were 16 years old and go, what haircut did I have? Why was I wearing those pants? Do it the same in business. Anything you create, anything you put out there, any relationship you start, you just want to be like, man, what was the 16-year-old version of yourself thinking back then?
Totally.
Yeah.
It's not to discredit doing your best. Okay. You don't become slothful around it or lazy, but make it good enough that you can move forward, but not so good that it makes you stop.
Yeah. Nice.
Something like that.
Yeah. Some famous quote like that.
Oh yeah. Some dribble, something that sounds motivational. Anyway, that's the third principle. It's a huge one for those that haven't got themselves in a sales game room. And you want more of this, you want to take more courage, and ultimately you want to get that lag measure of being able to face the world with an element of confidence, then this is the way to do it.
Nice.
See you in the next video.
Questions, comments below.
If we do this long enough, do you reckon we'll get some more comments?
I think we will. Have you posted a comment yet?
Comment?
Go ahead.
Comment? Question?